But I worry, and one of the reasons why this film was important for me to make is that I wanted to make sure that kids knew that people fought for them
Mhm.
because oftentimes their parents didn't.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how disturbing it was, even at our elementary school, to drop my kids off in masks and then go home feeling I felt so much pain, like knowing that these kids had to have their noses and mouths covered the entire day, not see a teacher smile at them. Like there's a lot of, endorphins released when you smile at each other. And they were being deprived. Like, you think about like the Romanian orphanages and the babies who'd never been held. Well, maybe that was more drastic, but these things do accumulate.
Right.
And I had a kindergartner, first grader, and then fourth grader, and I was thinking about all the kids in between, and the fact that the parents, I was one of the only parents who was fighting for the masks, to come off. Most people just said, "Well," then they said that it's safe, and the kids are my kids are fine. They're fine. That I think seeing that the parents didn't fight for them, I worry about what that does to parenthood in America. And
Yeah. I think it's red pilled, and also it has put a kind of a wedge in the family relationship. I've had many kids say, us kids know something's wrong. When are the adults going to stand for us? They know that from elections all the way down. They just go, something is fundamentally wrong here. When are they going to stand? Tonight, for instance, is our caucus, and I've been begging parents, you got to stand up, because otherwise your kids are going to live under this authoritarian thing that is going to stop them from being able to think. They're going to have to live the lies, because those are the people, like for us, there's literally campaigns saying, go crash their caucus so that you can get more quote unquote moderates. That's what we're dealing with. And meanwhile, again, these are the people who mocked and used Charlie's death. So my final question is, once parents wake up, how can they effectively advocate? And also, if you have any ideas on how to get parents to wake up, because I know they love their kids, but sometimes they think, and I know this because I've talked to people behind closed doors. People will tell me, this is happening at my school. Please don't use my name. I've got a business. I've got whatever, right? And so their love is in security. Their love is in financial comfort. And I'm not going to judge them for that. I mean, maybe I am. I don't know.
I think it's okay to judge.
What I mean is that if you've invested everything and you tried and you mapped out your life, and then you were just bombarded with this insanity, which a lot of people in their jobs are, you're now going to put your pronouns in. If you don't want to put your pronouns in, you want to have a job.
Right.
Okay. So people go, whatever, I'll do it. Even if behind closed doors, the problem is that a ton of those people start adopting these ideas. I had a teacher once say, I used to feel like you. I felt uncomfortable going to these trainings, but the more I go, the more comfortable I feel. And you sit there going, yes, because you're being brainwashed. Of course. So what's effective?
I think this is the answer that I tend to give all the time, and people are surprised. I think learning how to cook and eating dinner with your family in a phone-free environment is probably the best thing you can do. If everybody did this, and Kennedy, the HHS secretary, just said that everybody should learn how to cook, and all these people are laughing at him. Oh, this is so stupid. He's 100% right.
Yeah.
It's not a technological solution. Like, actually, it's going back to analog solutions, the things that our grandparents did.
Yeah.
The reason your kids are so susceptible to all this is because they don't have a firm nucleus in the home. And also the fact that there's we misprioritize things. It is not a waste of time to shop for food. It is not a waste of time to take your kids on errands. It is not a waste of time to cook food together. It is not a waste of time to sit at the table and just look at each other, even if there's nothing to say. It is not a waste of time. All these efficiencies are actually eroding what it means to be human. And
Yeah.
so, and then the other thing is religion, going to church together. You don't have to believe in God,
I
like
was
to,
about to ask you that. What if you don't believe in God? But
I
yeah.
don't believe in God, um,
Okay.
but that's okay. I was just listening to Dennis Prager talking to Abigail Schreier about this. It was an incredible conversation on the Free Press yesterday. And he said, I don't argue for the existence of God, I argue for the necessity.
Okay.
And he
Yeah,
said, if
I
there
can see
if
that.
there is no God, if we don't believe in God, then man is not created in his likeness, and then we spiral into chaos. And so I agree with him. I heard Jordan Peterson talking about this to Ayan Hirsi Ali a number of years ago, probably a year or two ago, which I thought was really interesting too, about how she found Christianity and converted and why it was essential for her. I never heard um, an argument for the absolute existence of God, which, you may or may not believe in, but I definitely heard a need that was met. So I think our children really need something like that. It doesn't mean, you have to go against your conscience and tell them something that isn't there, but exposing them to ancient texts and rituals, and giving them some sort of grounding where they can contextualize the world, and understand that these problems that they're experiencing aren't that unique and that they've been experienced in one way or another over, millennia. That would be really, really helpful. So I really think it's not very complicated and everybody can afford it.
I love that. I mean, I do stand on a different. I am a non-denominational Christian, but I do. I I was in a church and I left it because somebody who was higher up said, even if God isn't true, I would still go to church. And I just thought, why are you leading if you
Mhm.
don't believe in God?
Right.
But I do see, and I also worry about people being misled.
Mhm.
Like there there have been since the 1930s communists who've infiltrated Christian churches and fundamentally changed what it means to believe in God.
Yes, let's talk about the Unitarian Universalists. That's at the top of that list.
Or James Tallarico.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So